Okay, guys, we're going to do this mechanical piece. Okay, so it is not the same in OnShape as it is in AutoCAD, but there are similarities which will make it easier. But you have to change your thinking just a little bit. So let's walk through it. Um, you have some main components, these two cylinders, okay? And then you have your distance indicated by the 105. So that's center to center. So that's really giving you the length of the object, and everything else is built upon that. So just make sure that's correct, because if your 105 is off, it's going to be skewed, and then your arches that you create here, or the circles that you create for the arches, are going to be off. So just make sure that you are paying attention to the actual design itself as you move through it. So I'm going to go into OnShape. Now, what I've done at this point is I've drawn 4 circles, and then I've made this line to give me my overall length. Okay, so what I did was I made my 30 and 60 circles like we did with the gasket, and then I created just a standard line, made sure it stayed on 0, and made it 105. So that's giving me the overall length of the object. Okay. So now what we have to do is create this notch. Now the notch is on center, so you're gonna have 4 on one side and 4 on the other. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a little line right here, and I'm gonna make sure it's 3 up. Now, if you look at this, the diameter of this internal circle is 30. So when it takes this dimension from endpoint to, or center point, not center point, endpoint to endpoint really on the circle, or quadrant to quadrant, you have a bump out of 3 on one side. Okay, so it comes out 3. So I'm going to do a 3 unit line. And then I'm going to use the endpoint of that line to create a 2 rectangles. Now, I'm not going to be that precise when I make them, because remember, I've got to dimension them. So I want it to be 4 on each side, and I really just want it to cross into the circle. So again, do the same thing over here. Use my dimension tool to decide on the line. I'm going to make it 4. Okay, so now I have my notch, but I have a bunch of other items that I don't need in there. So I'm going to use this trim tool, and I'm just going to start taking out portions of this, the references that I use to create it. Okay, there she goes. Okay, so now I have my notch. Okay, and I have my secondary. So the biggest task in this one is to create those arms here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a circle. We're going to make sure this circle has the proper dimension. So if it's 115 for this radius, it's going to be from a 230 circle. So 230, okay. And then I make sure I come off the dimension tool, select it, and then I should be able to move it. You know, sometimes it's a little wonky like that. Okay, so basically I want it to cross the plane of, on both sides of my circle. So if I look now, that one's not crossing, that one is. So let's see if I can get it to move for me again. And seems to be okay over here. And then I'm going to check over here. No. Okay, so just make sure you have enough room, and okay, doesn't want to get past there, so I have to move it out and back again because for some reason it's latching right over there. Okay, so say we use that to be on the safe side. Okay, now because of where it's placed, I should be able to trim this out. Okay, if it's not solid, now I don't love where that's placed, but we're just going to leave it. But if it's not hitting a point on that circle, it's going not to cut, and then you'll run into issues later. So I'm going to select that. Want it to go internal. I'm going to say yes, and then it's going to ask me how large. I want it to be 8 units in from there. And now I can make the bottom one. So I'm going to open that up, and The bottom one is at 60. So I'm going to go with this and I'm going to make, oops, come on, click, drag. And it says that one's a radius of 60. So I'll make it 120. I'm going to come off that diameter tool and then I'm going to grab it and I'm going to move that one. Now, same deal here. Okay. Where I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to cut it right there. Okay. So then you should still be able to cut it because you have those internal, you can see how it really does cut inside. Okay. So now this one's I'm a little happier with. So this, we're going to do an offset again. Ooh. And I want it to be 8 in. Okay. So now I have both of those. You're going to want to take your trim and trim that out. Okay. So just go ahead and click on what you don't want. Okay. So then if you look at our design, we have this internal fillet. So what we're going to do is we're going to do circles to create that. So I'm going to make a circle and I'm going to select it and I'm going to make it the radius of it, or the diameter of it, 16. And then I'm going to come off of that, select it and move it into place. And you really want it to kind of blend with your entity. Zoom in, okay, and take out anything that crosses over. And then you also want to take out that leg of the line right there. Okay, not perfect. So I'd have to say that's one of the things I don't love about this program, and it may just be my inexperience, but I really want it to be a little bit more precise than it is. So then again, I'm going to do a 16 circle. I'm going to turn this off, and then I'm going to bring this in and place it as well. So if I do it right, when I use my trim tool and I zoom in, I'll just crop this out. Now I should be being a little bit more precise than I'm being. Uh-oh. That didn't make me happy. Okay, good. All right, everything's gray, so you know everything can be extruded. So that's a good thing. And then if I do another circle here, make sure I'm doing it right. 16 again. Come off the dimension tool, select it, and bring it into my drawing. Okay. Now that looks like it's okay. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to take my trim tool. I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to go there. Okay, that looks okay. Then again, I'm going to do it over here. Okay, and then I want this one to be 16. And I come off the dimension tool, and I want to move it. And it's going to come into here. Oops, that wasn't as pretty as I'd like it to be. So I'm going to move it. Okay. So it's being weird. It wants to hover around that one spot. So I'm going to, okay. I'm happy enough with that. It gets a little wonky because it's OnShape, I guess. And I'm going to take that out, and then I'm going to take this out. Okay. So then come off the trim tool, and you don't need this line anymore. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to extrude this. So I want to extrude it, but I don't want that, and I don't want that, and I don't want that. Go away. Oops. I'm sorry, it's slow to respond, so I'm kind of, okay. So I'm going to say I want this whole thing to be 20. And then if I do that, let's see what we got here. Okay, and it extrudes it all as one piece. Now, we're going to leave it like that. The reason we're going to leave it like that is because I screwed up. Okay, so let's try something here. We're going to go back to the top. Okay, I'm gonna pause this for a second. I'll pause you for a second here.